I'm Victoria Jane. This is VIC Meets, where I introduce you to some lovely people. And I am here in London in Levi's, wearing Levi's. She's wearing Levi's. And she is, in fact, an artist, a creative, a musician, and just an amazing woman who I'm so pleased is joining me right now. I'm talking about Sipprell. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm even greater that you're here with me. And back in central London, you were just saying that you've not really been around here recently. Explain to them why.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw you, I was like 8 months pregnant, wasn't I? So yeah, that's 7 months. She's 7 months now, so I haven't been up this end for a while. I've been walking my pram around South London.
I've got to say, because the first time I actually met Sipprell, the first time I met you, you were performing at the Jazz Cafe, which is insane. Heavily pregnant. I was just like, I was blown away because to watch you perform in front of so many people at that stage of pregnancy was just very empowering, but also it made what you were singing even more hard-hitting, really. And we'll get onto the music. But how has pregnancy kind of affected your music career? Because I was talking to a few women recently who have either been pregnant or are pregnant now, and they have said a few things about how the music industry kind of look at pregnant women. Mm-hmm. So what have you, pass the mic over?
I think there's been quite a few, well-known female artists now who have had babies in the public eye and stuff like that. So it's not so like frowned upon. So that's one thing. But for me personally, I think it's just made everything a lot better. Like, it was really an inspiring time for me to be pregnant, and it actually gave me like the motivation I needed to finish an album finally. And it's just such a massive change, how you feel as a person, mentally, physically, everything, and you feel quite empowered. Well, some people have terrible pregnancies, but I was blessed to have, after the sickness bit, had a nice pregnancy, and I just enjoyed that time to knowing I had a deadline when the baby was coming, and just enjoying that time to do music, and I had something new to write about. So yeah, pregnancy was great, and then obviously you have the baby, and it's another big change, but it's all been better than I imagined it would be, because I think you hear a lot of like negative things, and I was definitely like putting it off, and I don't know, like my life's going to be over, I'm just going to enjoy this pregnancy, and it's just been incredible to have my daughter. Yeah, tough, but definitely like more amazing than tough, I think.
That's so like, yeah. That's just like so mad that you had that experience, and actually really, really amazing that you had that experience, because like you said, a lot of women do have that tough, hard experience being pregnant and in the music industry. So that's amazing. I'm glad you had that experience. Taking it back now, I like to kind of find out, and I really want to find out about the start for you, the start of your musical kind of journey. Growing up, was music always at the forefront? Were you around music? Is your family musical? Like, how did the start of your how was it at the start?
I'm the youngest of 5, and so my dad is a piano player, piano player, and my mum doesn't sing anymore, but she used to sing in the Greek clubs and things like that. So I was always around music. And then all my brothers played instruments, and so I started violin and piano, but singing was the thing I found just was so easy, like natural and fun. So I just definitely always thought I was going to be a singer kind of thing. But it's been a very, very long road. I don't know how far back you want to go, but it's been crazy. But I'm kind of grateful it's been a long road, and the music industry has changed so much since I started doing music, and it's just kind of trying to kind of adapt to that, but I think now is the right time for me, because it's like you can actually just have a bit more control over what you're doing, whereas when I started out it was like trying to get signed by a major and things like that, and it was all just different experience.
I mean, you've had quite a journey, and you're still on this journey. You started releasing music, I feel like it was it seems like yesterday, but it was quite a while ago. Was it like 2014, 2015? Yeah, and you've released like a few EPs, singles, and obviously you've had to adapt and change. How has it been? How have you found like keeping up with like social media and the and no, but it's a great question because it is really affecting everyone. How have you found keeping up with that, and also just the changing structure of R&B here in the UK and obviously outside?
Okay, so social media, I don't know if I have kept up at all, to be honest, but I'm going to have to pick it up a bit before the album comes. But I don't know, I think when I started putting out music, it wasn't so much about that and it wasn't quite so saturated. I think even the pandemic, it just made everyone just churn out more and more content. Everyone's at home, like churning stuff out. Yeah. And I think for a lot of people that really broke their careers, and now there is a high kind of expectation of output of content. But for me, I mean, now I've got a kid as well. I physically I have no time, like, especially when I'm on my own, if my partner's away. So it's like, I've done a couple of gigs lately, I might post a clip of that. But to sit there doing content, I don't have the time at the moment. But I don't really want to be one of those artists that just sits there churning out content, because it does take away from your art. Even people where that gets them somewhere, it is at the detriment of, taking time out to actually do your own music and your project, I think, because then you're just doing your ideas for your social media, if that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I haven't kept up with it. I haven't kept up with TikTok and all that stuff, but I think my fan base is slowly growing. It could be a lot quicker if I churned out loads of videos. For me, yeah. Some people can balance the two. For me, I find that quite difficult. So I just wanted to, when I was pregnant, I thought, okay, I'm not going to think about social media, so I'm just going to work on the album, the music, which comes first, because otherwise there's nothing to post anyway. So, of course, yeah. Of course.
And no, do you know what? I just want to kind of go to one of the songs that really sticks in my head, that you wrote whilst pregnant, Already Yours. And I love that song so much. It literally, you already know, it makes me cry. Like, when I think about that song, it's just, I don't even know how you wrote it. I would love to hear that songwriting process, about Already Yours, and the latest single, Unraveled, and Wish You Were Here as well. Because those three songs, I think, are very, very matured, but also very, very polished, but emotional at the same time. So I would love to hear about the songwriting behind those three and how it was for you making them.
Okay, so we'll start with Already Yours. So that was the pregnancy song. So I started that with in a session with Connor Albert and David Thornton. I think that might have been the year before we'd made the track. We actually did Wish You Were Here and that one in one evening, but basically I would just lay melodies over, and I hadn't finished the lyrics or the song. So I've got this plaster, it probably looks terrible. So we started the song maybe the year before or something, and then I had the beat, and I had some voice notes, but I wasn't like really inspired to write anything. And then when I got pregnant, I was like feeling really sick at the beginning, as most people are. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do 1 hour a day in the morning and just not even push myself. And I obviously was in a new frame of mind, and I just put the beat on and I just wrote it at home and recorded it at home. So that was that one. And obviously I was just talking about being nervous about being a mum, and just imagine how much I'm going to love my daughter. I didn't even know she was going to be a girl at that point. It's crazy. And then I did a video of me pregnant, and it's just weird seeing the belly now. I'm like, oh, you're in there somewhere. But yeah, it was an inspiring time to write that bit of the pregnancy. So that was that one. And then we did Wish You Were Here. So that was done the same evening, and I actually had the same session, yeah.
But how do you switch between going from that state to then talking about?
So when I say it was done in the same evening, I mean the music.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the beat was made, and like Connor did the piano, and David was involved as well with that, and then I took it away. Mm-hmm. But I've got a voice note of me doing like, I wish you were here, like all of that chorus and everything, and all the melody was there from that session. So I just filled in the gaps. But I had that idea for that song sort of something like that, the same concept previously, and then I just moulded it into that. Yeah, was that the end of that question?
Well, I wanted to say, because Wish You Were Here is a very, very vulnerable song, and I don't know how, well, yeah, you can really feel that it feels like you're stepping into what you was feeling. So how was that even to write such an emotional song? Because it's, you know, about, it just goes through a lot. Yeah. It goes through a lot.
Yeah, so I think when I was writing it, I had one of my brothers passed away. It was 2015. It was just before I put out my first EP, actually. So I've written like one song and put that out years ago called Personal. So that was about him. And then this one, I think he kind of inspires a lot of my music anyway. It's just very, instead of just having relationships to talk about, it's a completely different feeling, and it inspires a lot of music. Grief, but then I wanted to make it a little bit more open, just I don't know if I did it intentionally or not, but so people could relate to it. So some of the lyrics are quite obviously about him to me, and others are just more general for people like who've lost people and stuff, or missing someone. It could be someone that's not around, like
it does translate like that as well.
And I think it came across the way I wanted it to come across. Yeah.
Gosh. And then the latest single.
So Unravel. So that's another interesting one in terms of how it was made, because I've had that beat like from a session literally, I think it was 5 years ago, but I always knew. So that like the bass line thing and the main bit of the beat was done in a session with Henry Guy and Joe Price, and I just knew there was something special about the beat, and I really kept trying to write to it. But we did the kind of backing vocals. So those backing vocals are from 5 years ago that I recorded on the session. And then, just something about pregnancy just put me in a new thing, and I just approached the beat again. And I actually ended up, you do music, so very speed. I had to like speed it up, and then it just inspired the song, because I was just like struggling with it. And then, just recorded that one from home as well. So it's in a kind of a weird key. It's not like in a special key. It's in like an in-between key, a special key.
What I love about your music is that it's just so emotional, and it's so crystal clear what you're kind of trying to make the listener feel. I don't know that's how I feel about it anyway. But I also wanted to touch on the fact that you are obviously an artist yourself, but you also, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you sang back up for Ed Sheeran. You've worked with Neo, probably many more too. How do you find, doing the backup singing and, working with the other artists? Like, how do you find doing all of that? And how has that sort of stuff impacted you as an artist yourself as well?
With Ed Sheeran, I actually had to play violin and sing backing vocals, So that was like something that just cropped up, and I had to just get in gear very quickly. And I was like, okay, this is like a big gig for me.
Ed Sheeran just
so that was like one of those things where I was like, I'm just going to go for this. I did a few sort of different things with him, which is an incredible experience. So it's just like a different hat. And I think when you're a musician, you're trying to like, you do things for work, you do things to make money, you do things because you just want to enjoy, So, I'm used to kind of doing different things within music. And then like working with Neo was amazing. I've known her for quite a few years now. So I think originally I was doing backup vocal arrangements for her. So I was recording them from home. And then she was like, oh, do you want to do some writing? Because she just had a daughter and she wanted a bit more extra, like some outside inspiration kind of thing. Yeah. So I ended up doing quite a few sessions with her and got a couple of songs on her album.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
And with the songwriting kind of side of the music industry, there's been a lot of talk about the songwriting side and songwriters not getting their flowers and their credits, and a lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They just hear the music. They don't know how many people are actually involved in those lyrics that actually they hear the artist singing. So what do you think can be done more for anyone listening who could maybe be possible to change those sort of things? What do you think can be done more for songwriters?
I mean, I think the obvious thing is, you know, none of us get paid enough from Spotify anyway, unless like you're the record label, like a major label.
For people who don't know how, like, is a way you can kind of tell like how little artists get paid.
I mean, I don't get enough at all to even. I don't want to go there. It's just like okay, but one thing, because I'm an independent artist. I don't have a manager. I don't have a label, anything. So I do it all myself.
Insane.
So it's very, very expensive, and I always said, like, once I have my daughter, unless I get some help, I can't do any more music. It's too expensive.
Well, you was actually thinking about just stopping music.
I knew that I would want to keep going with music, but I knew I couldn't put thousands into my own music anymore. So we'll see what happens after the next project. But for songwriters, it's even worse. I've heard Ray talk about this a lot, because obviously she's a successful songwriter, but she's been around a lot of people that haven't made enough money. And I think even me, when I pay out, say, give out master percentages from the records, Spotify, you all have like percentages, but on major labels, I think they don't really give anything to songwriters. So it's up to the independent artists to see if they can give parts of their money, but you just make so little anyway that you can't really afford to do that. So basically, yeah, there just needs to be more of the done thing to give a percentage to the songwriter instead of just the producer. Yeah, I'm not in a position to be able to make anyone big money at the moment. But yeah, it's really, really unfair because they're doing so many sessions for so many people and using all their ideas. And I know
emotion.
Yeah. I know a few like a couple of my friends are incredible songwriters, and yeah, they haven't made a lot of money. And now a lot of people do end up just saying, do you know what, I'm just going to do my own stuff again because it's almost not worth it in terms of what they gain from it. But yeah, it's the music industry is not something to go into for money, because that's a gamble. You don't know. You might be lucky, but yeah.
Of course. And I kind of want to ask you about, like, obviously you kind of just touched on like how hard it is and how hard it is to carry on. You mentioned this next body of work. What can you tell us about this next body of work, or the stuff that you are working on, and what people can kind of expect from you?
So yeah, the album is finished. I'm just tying up a few like things, technical stuff. It's been finished for ages. Yeah, it's been finished for ages. It's just trying to get it out, and just a couple little things I'm tying up with one track, with a feature, and I'm just hoping that's all going to be done in time.
Any clues?
No, I don't even. If I knew it was like all sorted, I would say, but yeah, it's a female. But yeah,
Okay.
so the album date is June 8th, and unless something crazy happens, but it's June 8th. So it's going to be just after your show.
Just after the
show.
Yeah.
So that's all I can say, really. Yeah.
That's really exciting. I wanted to ask you this because I ask everyone this. Take time to think. What's one thing that I don't know about you already? Random, could be a fact, could be something like easy, like something you had for breakfast. I don't know. One thing that I don't know about you.
I'm quite boring. I mean, I've got a dairy allergy. Literally, it's so boring.
That's so random.
Dairy and a wheat allergy.
Oh my God. A wheat allergy?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. See, that's
interesting?
That was going to be boring, but that's not boring because
Okay.
I don't know anyone else
relate.
with dairy allergy. So yeah. But plug your socials,
Okay.
And anything else you want to tell people listening, watching.
So my socials are at Sipprell Music, SIPPRELL Music. And yeah, the album is out June 8th, so stay tuned for that.
Thanks so much for joining me. I'm so glad that I could have you here. And I just want to say, keep making amazing music, because I love it, and so many other people will love it and do love it as well.